Well then, welcome to the first ever video put up on S.P.Q.R, the Squawkers Professional Quick Raiders or whatever anagram you want to make out of it. Anyway, welcome to the first ever video I've put up on here, and what we are doing is a post-commentary on a multiplayer battle on Rome Total War fought between me and Precious Gaming. So, yeah. This is a series I wanted to do on this channel, which is just play some multiplayer Rome Total War, and well, I'll do a mix of post-commentary games and a mix of live commentary games, depending on, you know, when I get to play this game. And, you know, as always, if you want to play, well, get yourself a copy of this game. It's very cheap on Steam right now, and, well, hit me up. So anyway, let's go through our, what we have here. So, I don't save all my battle replays, but I save ones where some interesting things go on. So what we are having here today is Macedonia, which is being played by me, and we're also having a Precious Gaming is playing as the Egyptian. So I'll very quickly go through what our loadouts were and our deployment strategy, and then we're going to jump into the battle. So I was playing as the Macedonians. This was my first battle as the Macedonians, so I will warn ahead. There is a bit of noobishness since I normally play as House of Julii, so I wasn't quite used to the Macedonian tactics. But what I've done here is I have two lines of pikes. In the front I have 3 units of levy pikes, and then bringing up the rear I have royal pikes who are better. What I was planning to do was to use my levy pikes to wear down Precious Gaming's units, and then have my royal pikes deliver the killing blow. I also deployed how many was it? About 5 battalions of just standard Macedonian archers in the woods where he couldn't see them, so if he was going to take the initiative and charge forward, because I was expecting him to bring lots of Nile cav, he would have, well, my archers would have been there. I also brought 2 sets of onagers, just for fun really. I know artillery is normally frowned upon in field battles, but, you know, since this was just a game between friends, you know, I thought, well, I can get away with this shit. And also, in terms of cavalry, I have my general's armoured bodyguard and 3 companion cavalry, which are sort of like Alexandrian cavalry, very, very tough customers, these. And as for Precious Gaming, he's brought along, let's just get on. He's brought some chariots, of course. The Egyptians have their chariot archers, which are immensely overpowered. He's brought Pharaoh's Guard, which are extremely tough. I think they're about on the same level as Macedonian Royal Pikes. Pharaoh's Bowmen, he's brought plenty of those. Some more chariot archers. And the cavalry general, who classes as heavy cavalry, sort of like Nile cav. Even more chariots, just plenty of chariot archers. So basically, Precious Gaming is basically trying to pick me off from across the map, and obviously, using chariot archers, he obviously has the advantage of being far more mobile, and he's also brought Pharaoh's Guard to try and defend his position. And it's a pretty interesting map, this, considering there's a sort of like a villa in the middle of the map, so obviously we can't just go straight up here. We have to manoeuvre around it and use these fields for cover. And obviously, I have the advantage of the forests to hide my archers in. He sort of has this hill, and he also has the farm, which can basically screen him from my fire. Anyway, let's hit play and get into a battle. So, opening moves. I believe I took the opening move in this battle with my levy pikes, and obviously, and also the weather isn't too good on this one, so I think the slight rain might damage archer accuracy a bit. And this was a pretty missile-heavy battle, though. I think the highlight of this battle was definitely towards the end, where I took the opening shots with my onagers. I set them to flaming arrow ammo just to try and terrify the enemy. However, obviously, flaming ammo with an onager is pretty inaccurate. But that was my opening plan. I was going to try and soften him up with several artillery blows, and I do believe any minute I will actually start setting fire to the entire villa. But Precious Game decided that he wasn't going to sit around, so he's deploying his Pharaoh's Bowmen. He's going to have them run forward and start trying to pick off my my pikemen, of course, and also maybe even try and get some shots on my general or my companion cavalry before I can get them moving and have them cause some serious harm. But I've started to deploy my levy pikes. Decided to just march by the side. Obviously, I had to kind of readjust my marching line because of this farm in the middle, which is it was a bit of an annoyance in this thing. But Precious Gaming definitely has the advantage here as he starts deploying his general. Bit risky to bring your general in so early, because obviously losing the general really does confer a big morale penalty. But what he was trying to do here, I believe, and this really caught me by surprise, but he basically, while I was busy trying to pelt Precious Gaming with artillery, and bringing up my pikes, he basically brought his general into the woods so he could hide him, but I'm not sure if the general was a hideable unit. But either way, due to my lack of paying attention, basically this was going to leave my artillery very vulnerable if he can get behind it. And yep, there we go. Set the farm on fire. Well done, me. And oh, and a few of my levy pikes did start to drop off since I was being pelted by Pharaoh's bowmen using flaming shots. Precious Gaming does tend to like using his flaming shots. Normally tries to break my unit's morale whenever we fight because, well, I guess it's really a more viable tactic really to break morale rather than kill. It's easier to scare a man than kill him, but farm's just completely gone up in smoke now. I noticed the threat, I believe, in this battle, so I decided to redeploy my companion cavalry with my general just to basically tell Precious Gaming that I was not going to be having any of that shit. But, as usual, I normally get 2 folks in one place in a battle, but Precious Gaming has obviously noticed, right, I have cavalry, so you know what, Pharaoh's Guard, they will shred my cavalry up. But here we go, the first proper engagement. Pharaoh's Guard versus Levy Pikes. The Pharaoh's Guard will most likely win, but yeah, this is a phalanx on phalanx fight, so it's going to be rather retarded in a way. But I do believe nope, my Levy Pikes broke. Well, they were a load of shit, weren't they? Yeah, that didn't go well, and obviously my other pikes, they're getting really... I mean, I brought my Royal Pikes in. What I was planning to do was use levies to soften the enemy. Obviously, this plan just completely went to pot. I am about to basically get threshed, but Royal Pikes are good. I mean, according to the game, victory is a distinct possibility, but however, the longer I'm held here, the more shots the Pharaoh's bows can get off on me, and also the chariots are also starting to take their shots. Precious Gaming has actually switched to kill shots now, so he's just basically going to just go for obliteration, because obviously with Royal Pikes being very high tier, their morale's much harder to break, so may as well just try and kill him, because sometimes it's easier to kill a man than frighten a man. However, my redeployment of the companion cavalry seems to have caused Precious Gaming to pull back, but it's also because he also wanted to catch some of my Levy Pikes, which were taking a very curious fleeing path, so that was a bit curious. But also just because I think he planned, since I basically deployed all my infantry to one spot, he was going to squash it because, well, this map's extremely awkward to navigate because, well, yeah, that's happening. They're all just sort of marching around the fence, and my units were marching in a very thin line, basically pot shots, but I managed to get into another engagement with the Pharaoh's Guard, and, well, it was evenly balanced, I can say. I guess an evenly balanced fight is better than a not very evenly balanced fight. But that was pretty much. This is pretty much where the crux of the battle was going to be for, or at least not the height of the battle, of course. However, more my Levy Pikes were breaking. Well, I've never played as a Macedonians, of course. So this is why I wasn't doing particularly well here. But yeah, I was just sort of experimenting with the Macedonian roster. Precious Gaming normally tends to play as the Egyptians whenever we fight together, so he tends to have the Egyptian roster pretty nailed down. He normally brings a lot of Pharaoh's Guard and Pharaoh's bowmen to his fights, and normally a few lashings of Nile cavalry. But however, this battle he just decided to go for ranged units overall. And I guess that was a viable tactic on this map, since maneuverability was definitely not something you could really get a lot of in this battle. However, I was getting sick of losing my units into basically a meat grinder, so I decided to deploy some of my companion cavs forward a bit. And I have to say, companion cavalry are really good looking, by the way. I mean, these are sort of like Alexandrian units, because Alexander the Great believed heavily in the use of companion cavalry. You know, they were pretty tough fellows, used to charge stuff, and it kind of influenced a lot of Greek warfare, I hear. But I decided to turn around because, well, I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure it's because I noticed a general, or it was because there was more Pharaoh's Guard, or I was just being shot at, or yeah, I think I just changed my mind because yeah. Or I was just waiting for my other companion cavalry to turn up, because here they come. So I'm basically speeding up. So I've decided to just basically see if I can just basically sort of like carpet bomb the map with companion cavalry. Managed to engage the enemy generals. Hopefully, if the general was to die, my plan was that I could just basically Oh, there we go.
Press forward so that the spirit of his army is broken too.
So there we go. I'm just trying to break the enemy army here. Basically, if I could get the enemy general off the field, then Precious Gaming's men would be far more suspect to morale breaking techniques. He's redeploying his Pharaoh's Guard to kill my companion cavalry, but obviously I've got my Royal Pikemen on his tail in an attempt to just try and stop him. And now my companion cavalry are now basically just free to roam the map, so I'm just going to use them to try and roam around. I've switched my artillery to regular shots at this point, trying to just try and kill more men. However, I think I was hitting more my own companion cavalry by accident than doing any good, really. I don't think the artillery was very effective in this battle, or at least it got a bit more effective as the battle went on, but we're not at that stage yet. However, what is going well is I am breaking the Pharaoh's bowmen, so I'm trying to stop Precious Gaming from trying to just basically pelt the map with projectiles. However, there are more Pharaoh's Guard incoming, so unless I move my general's stats, then I am not in a good position. And fortunately, I did notice that my general was... Oh, no, wait, my general... Yeah. I don't know why, but I decided to... Well, I don't think I decided to charge the Pharaoh's Guard head-on with cavalry like a complete stark-raving retard. My general just sort of like disobeyed orders, and he basically charged without orders. So, yeah, this was pretty much the turning point of the battle. I was definitely starting to get an advantage. However, most of my Royal Pikemen had broken at this point. I basically lost this infantry engagement here. The Pharaoh's chariots and the Pharaoh's bowmen were now just free to start raining death upon wherever they choose. And Precious Gaming was starting to venture over here. However, my archers just decided to start firing upon him. So, yeah. Sorry if it's a bit unfocused, by the way. There was quite a lot happening as well. It's basically like having 3 engagements at once. But I managed to reform some of my Royal Pikes, and they're just sort of like trying to be threatening by sort of like waving their spears around in some sort of like weird hedgehog formation. And I tried to send them against the chariot archers, which are trying to form a Cantabrian circle now, which is just basically provides complete flow of arrows and movement somehow. But yeah, I didn't really think a chariot would be good at doing a Cantabrian circle, but turns out Egyptian chariots can not only do Cantabrian circles, but they can do them very well, probably as well as a Scythian mercenary. So basically I'm just marching into another death trap. I mean, I'm trying to march, but obviously I'm just basically completely being suppressed by arrows, so I'm slowly losing men as I try to approach, and Royal Pikemen are not the fastest people in the bunch, so pretty much all my companion cavalry had been destroyed at this point. I mean, I have this one hardy battalion here who was trying to mop up some archers. However, the morale of my men was not going well, and oh wait, I do have another companion cavalry who's just, well, yeah, I forgot about him basically. I think at this point the onagers actually ran out of ammo, so my engineers are now just standing around just waiting for orders. No, that one still has ammo. But there wasn't really a lot to shoot at. I mean, shooting at the Cantabrian circle wasn't going to do me any favours, so I just decided to deploy my archers out in the field, just try and use them to support my Royal Pikes. Not entirely sure if it went well. I'm not really sure what my archers fired at. I wish I could get arrow trails on this game like in the later Total Wars, just for these replays. However, I did manage to shoot some of the Royal Guards in the back, so they are he's just pulling them back basically. Because obviously Precious Gaming was being far smarter than me in this battle. I was basically marching into stupid death traps, letting my units get threshed by arrows and obviously by these Pharaoh's Guards. Whereas Precious Gaming was actively trying to avoid my artillery fire and my arrow fire by keeping his units mobile. I was not. I was just basically marching in very straight lines. I was basically making my tactics very obvious. A more cunning general obviously shields his tactics and tries to keep them unpredictable. But yeah, I should have dealt with his chariots earlier, though he did bring a lot of chariots. So I can see why in some other multiplayer lobbies chariots are heavily limited because they can form Cantabrian circles, they're extremely fast, and basically they're capable of firing 2 arrows at once since 3 men riding the chariots. So yeah. It's funny because they can't really see because they're not even cresting the hill, but I tried to hide my men in the fields, and while it does sort of look like they are hidden, the game decided they weren't hidden, so I was just basically getting pelted as well. I think I was having an exchange with the Cantabrian circle at this point, but it was not going my way, to be honest. I mean, my men are just retreating. My whole army was breaking at this point. I probably played pretty noobishly, but I mean, I do argue that it was my first ever game as the Macedonians, and I just decided to ram another building. I basically destroyed this farm. I mean, there weren't really any, didn't seem to be any animations for destroying the buildings themselves, but I destroyed them. However, I remembered that I did still have some companion cavalry, so I've brought them out and tried to find any units I can try and pick away at, but looks like there weren't really, so I just pulled my companions back to reunite with my other companions and just maybe just reform them. Oh, I told them to attack something. Nope, there we go. I've reformed my companions, so now I'm just bringing them forward very, very slowly. I'm trying to think of something to do with them. Maybe I can just charge them forward. That would be either good. That would be the good thing. I'm taking heavy fire again from the chariots in a Cantabrian circle. So this was basically me finally acting on something I probably should have acted on really earlier. I really should have sent the companions after the chariots early in the battle. However, one, I deployed my companions on the wrong side of the map, and two, I wasn't thinking straight. But see, once the companions manage to engage with chariots, the companions get an instant advantage, since companions are heavy cavalry and these are just basically mobile archers. So that was really wiping out his chariots. I was even breaking them. If I'd done this earlier, this battle would probably have gone very different. My pikes probably wouldn't have been under constant fire. So, but there's still 2 whole battalions of, well, actually no, 3 battalions of chariots left. So I was not in a good position in this battle, unfortunately. I was just being, I was just basically being utterly obliterated here as the Macedonians. Precious Gaming is pretty adept when it comes to playing as the Egyptians. Pharaoh's guards were already on their way to take me out, and actually I lost a lot of companion cavalry and engaging chariots. While companions seem to be good at taking out chariots, it's obviously since these chariots are actually have scythes on the wheels, that they can just basically shred anything they touch. So that's why the Egyptian chariot is considered to be a very, very OP unit in this game. And now his chariots are just now marching forward to get retribution. He's got some easy kills on my archers, which are just now retreating. I'm just trying to desperately pull them out. And I believe it's around here that something pretty odd happened to Precious Gaming's chariot. They were basically cleaving through my men. I was getting very desperate because I was low on units. Basically all my pikes had died or retreated. My general was gone. My companions had just been shredded. So I was down to just a few peasants who were manning the orders. So I thought, right, I'm not going down like this. I'm going to use them to stage a last-ditch defense. And this is where it happened, basically. This is where it went wrong for Precious Gaming. I set my engineers in, and they are obliterating the enemy chariots. They just seem to walk into the chariots and basically get one-hit kills. These guys are like the quickscopers of Rome Total War. I was absolutely pissing myself with laughter. I mean, they just got promoted there. The engineers got promoted because they were just... I mean, yes, alright, the chariots are charging in, trying to shred my units. However, these guys just kept getting back up. My engineers just really didn't want to throw this battle, and they just went up against some of the most powerful Egyptian units and just started clobbering them, just with simple daggers, no armor. It was, well, I was astonished how badly Precious Gaming's chariots did here. I assumed they had run out of ammo, which is why they were just going for the tactic of trying to cleave everything with their wheels, but obviously, even if I win this engagement here, I still have some Pharaoh's guards to deal with, and I just knew for a fact my engineers wouldn't do it. However, I managed to reform my archers, start getting some more shots off with them, so I was trying to just bring in some more supporting fire. They're doing their best, really, but when you're down to a few peasants and a few archers and you're still against some heavily vetted Egyptian troops, I'm not sure what veterancy level he'd put them on. I think he'd played for numbers more than anything else, because I do believe I didn't change the amount of money that we were given. But the Pharaoh's Guard are on their way. These guys were basically just the enforcers of the battlefield. Wherever these guys went, I would just basically try to avoid in the end, because I knew they'd shred my companions, I knew they'd shred my pikes. But the Pharaoh's Guard were just extremely powerful, but that's what you get when you use top tier Egyptian units. The top tier Egyptians just ruin everything. But here we go, Precious Gaming tries again to charge his chariots. One of them just fucked up, and I was feeling a bit confident. I was hoping that my peasants would really try and hold the line again, because, well, they're amazing. I do believe, yep, they've routed. They've heard the legends. They see the peasants just stood by the dead bodies of them all, and they knew I was going to win this one. So these these guys were definitely my MVPs somehow. Just some, not the catapults themselves, but just the people using them. They were fighting hard. I mean, I guess one could assume this battle was like Egypt had like invaded Macedon, so these guys were defending their homelands like there was no tomorrow. Sent a few more just to try and chase down the chariots, because since they were trying to go after my archers, and I knew my archers won't stand a chance in melee, so my archers are actually just withdrawing from the battle now. They're just trying to get away. However, they don't have a chance. Their doom just basically comes down the hill now after them. Tragic for them, really, very, very tragic, but that's what you get. Or at least they're trying. I mean, just look at those lethal. There we go. Those knives on those wheels are lethal. They just basically cut. They basically just slice your legs off, and you basically have no legs left. But my units are going down, going down, going down. I do believe. I don't know if they're routing yet. No, they are wavering. But yeah, now they're shaken, wavering. Yeah, but my units were just going down a plug hole at this point, and I think this is pretty much where the battle was won. Because now the Pharaoh's Guard had arrived, my peasants weren't doing very well, or at least they were trying. I mean, we got a bunch of them just ganging up on this one Egyptian here, but the Pharaoh's Guard just turned around, went into a phalanx formation. I didn't have a standard chance because you can't fight a phalanx from the front and win. But basically, they're like an impenetrable wall, and some of my peasants started to break, unfortunately, and then the rest, well, they were shaken. I just pulled them out because I didn't want to fight a unit I couldn't beat. However, there was no way I could really get around them because Precious Gaming was obviously watching them. However, some of my archers did manage to sneak up and get some nice shots in the back. However, once more, since Precious Gaming was actively watching this unit, he moved them away. Didn't let me get a shot in, really. But I managed to take a few, or at least I took one. Didn't really do very well here, definitely. I think what I learned here was that the Macedonians are definitely not a very good offensive faction, and those guys are just running off, I believe. You definitely don't want to use the Macedonians when you're on the offensive. On the defensive, I can probably see the Macedonians excelling. The Pharaoh's bowmen have now exhausted their ammo, so they're just running into melee, and to be honest, fair enough. I mean, these guys practically use the same armor as Pharaoh's Guard, so they would just basically smash my units up and tank a load of damage, so that was just basically game over for me. I'm desperately trying to pull my archers away, maybe try and get some more shots, or I just forgot to take them out of skirmish mode. But I knew if I stood and fought, I wouldn't win, but tried for a few close range shots, nothing happened, and there we go. It's just like watching waves crash on a rock, except this time the wave won. That was it for me. I lost this battle fair and square. I mean, what I should have done really was I should have taken out the chariots earlier. I should have been smarter with my pikemen, not let Precious Gaming play as the Egyptians. But I'm just going to triple speed it now because this was pretty much all that happened in the battle. All that was left was one unit who I just kept in the hills, or at least he'd wandered off to the hills, he'd reformed, and then that was about it. But it was a very crushing defeat for me. Precious Gaming came away with having a lot of his units still alive. However, I was still very pleased how much damage I actually did to his chariots with my units. I just basically, and yep, there we go, chariots are just meat grinding them again. But what happened was, I should have been smarter, and that was basically it. But it was considered a narrow defeat. I deployed 872 men, I took 505 kills, and 53 of my men remained. Precious Gaming brought 599 men, killed 814, and left with 149. So I definitely not all my kills, some of my kills definitely were friendly fire because my artillery wasn't very good in this battle. However, the engineers themselves were very good. I mean, I can only look at my statistics, unfortunately I can't bring up Precious Gaming's here. However, my companion cavalry did do good. They brought in 83 kills, 109 kills, 32 kills, so they were very good, you know. That I definitely didn't use them as smartly as I could have. I tried to just use them as some sort of lawnmower, but obviously I should have used more finesse. I should have used them to flank Pharaoh's Guard when I had them engaged with my Royal Pikes, because as you can see, overall my pikemen returned very few kills. However, my heavy onagers did extremely well, 32 kills, 60 kills, and I don't think those were from when they were actually firing the catapults. I believe that was from when they were just killing off enemy chariots like there was no tomorrow. So what we did learn was, if you're using enemy chariots, don't let peasants get near them, because they will just swamp your chariots and somehow blow them up, because, well, yeah, I guess peasants have a few secrets up their sleeves. Overall, it was a good battle, and, well, thank you for watching. I've never really done a post-commentary before, so if there's anything I need to change, please let me know. I'll be uploading a battle replay every Wednesday and every Sunday, or it might be a different game. At the minute, it's going to be mostly Rome Total War and Age of Empires. But obviously, if you want to play with me, hit me up on Steam. If we have any games in common, we'll try and arrange a recording session. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you all on the next video that is uploaded to S.P.Q.R.